But yeah, hello. My name is Magdalene Jensen, and I am a senior history major at Catholic, minoring in data analytics in the 4+1 program for library and information sciences. It's hard to believe it's my last year, senior year. And I just wanted to give this workshop. I was given the opportunity to offer some insight into preparing for finals. When I was a freshman at Catholic, I really benefited from Academic Success Center at Catholic. And I met with a one-on-one tutor for study skills to kind of help with the transition from high school to college. And that was before COVID, so I can only imagine what this is like for students who are doing this right now as freshmen, but also just for everyone. And I have found that I've only benefited from asking other people what their experiences are for studying. And so I just wanted to share mine. So if you can skip through this video or the recording and find anything that's beneficial for you. I always think it's fun to learn what other people do to study and prepare for things and get additional insight. Just to give an overview so that you can kind of go through the recording how you wish. I'm just going to start out with very basic simplified versions of everything. So kind of the breakdown of who and how you're going to study, looking at the individual, then looking at the technique, and then just kind of the motivation at the end of it. So for the who and how, very simple questions of who is doing the work and how are you going to do it. I think that these are things that people often overlook. Sometimes with studying, it's who is doing the work. We know that we're doing it, and we think we know how we're going to do it best. However, I found that in my time, sometimes I'll see friends studying in a certain method, such as writing things out or rereading, and those aren't necessarily methods that have always worked for me. And so kind of the point I want to make is study in the way that will best prepare you for your exams, and just look at your kind of education history. How have you studied in the past that's been successful? How have you studied in the past that's not been successful? And kind of use that as a preparing guide. It's easy to get overwhelmed, but if you're a first year student, you have 4 years of high school under your belt. So look back at your high school experience. You have plenty of data to show you how you can effectively study. And if you're at any point in college, you can do the same with both your high school and college experience. One really neat thing I found, especially with the pandemic, is I took this quiz when I was in high school, this visual, auditory, or tactile. But you can take this learning quiz and get to better understand your learning type. You can score 100% in one learning type, or you can store in a combination. And so I highly recommend, if you feel you're running into a wall with ideas for how should I study, taking this informational quiz. They'll ask you 20 very simple questions, but it can really help you in kind of starting back up again. And then some ideas are flashcards and Quizlet. If you especially if you like talking and kind of talking through dialogue, but you don't have someone at your home who you can quiz with like you would at school, using Quizlet is a great way to ask questions and quiz yourself. If you like drawing in any form, or writing helps you remember things, outlines and bullet journals and bullet journaling techniques can also be used in studying. Making study group review sessions over Zoom or FaceTime or Google Meet, all of them offer a lot of benefit. And talking out materials and explaining why to other people can be really helpful to us. If you have any questions over past materials, or you just feel you need to talk with someone outside of your class, going to office hours is really big, or setting up an appointment with your teacher or your TA. Also, they're still tutoring open right now, so if you needed someone to study with for a language or a math class, you can still sign up for that. And then reviewing the past materials and asking yourself the questions that you got right, or the essay prompts that you got right, why did you get it right, to kind of remind yourself of what you may or may not remember. And for things that you got wrong, asking yourself why you got it wrong and what you put instead. It can kind of help refresh your memory and just help with like re-preparing. It makes it much more manageable, I found. And then another basic kind of simple question, but I also think all of these are beneficial, is kind of the what, when, and where. So these are kind of going to be answered differently than in most years because for some students, you'll be moving right now from DC to your home. So you're going to be completely in a new study environment. And for some students, you're going to be in your house. And so I found most effective for like my entire studying career, but also for all of my friends, and especially in the pandemic, what I've seen almost all of my friends doing that's been really helpful for us, and I hope helpful for you, is making a very clear list of what needs to get done, but only making one. I am very guilty of making multiple lists and not spending a lot of time on them. So I'll spend like 5 minutes and bullet what I have to do, put a bullet list together, but it's just not very effective. And so I highly recommend taking 45 minutes to an hour to set aside, choosing some kind of like a template or list that's going to be most effective for what kind of projects or assignments that you have, whether you want to see a calendar overview or if you want to be able to break down each assignment. And in that time, just break down the next week and a half so that you know what you have to get done and when you're going to do it and how you're going to do it. For the kind of the when are you going to do it, scheduling is really important. I know everyone keeps telling us like make a schedule, make a plan, but I think just actually doing this is really important, and also being realistic when you do this. It's not super realistic to only sit in one place for 10 hours, but if you break it up into chunks, that will benefit you and help you retain more information. Taking shorter breaks in between is also super effective and can help you jump back into things. And where it will be done is more specific to students who are currently moving like back to their homes. So specifically most first year students, but just making an intentional study space for what you're going to be learning. And I've attached 2 examples. The links will be in the template that'll be attached. But if you want to create like a planner, I'd highly recommend looking at Passion Planner or Canva. They both have free PDF templates that are super easy to print out. And then lastly, I think it's really important to keep things in perspective. There's a there's a global pandemic. Be kind to yourself. Remember why you're studying. Practicing gratitude is really important during this time because it can be super stressful with everything we're doing. When you take a break from your studying, just remind yourself why you're doing it and remember like what the end goal is. You're getting this great college education, you're at a great institute, and with everything going on, you're still able to learn. And also just focusing on like what you're learning and taking away can really help you remember in the moment like the benefits of what you're doing and not just completing assignment after assignment or preparing for finals, which can be really nerve-wracking. Remembering your goals from the beginning of the semester when you were super excited and were just first registering for classes. Remember that time, it'll help. And also have something joyful to anticipate and look forward to. You have a break coming up right at the end of finals. It's within sight. It's coming soon, and you will have a well-earned break that's also particularly long this year, which is nice. And I include this image as kind of a motivational kind of joke, is that it's actually from a marathon. And if you've ever run a marathon, you know they're particularly painful. And so the sign of smile, remember you paid to do this, is I think a good reminder of like, you've chosen to be here, we've all chosen to be here, and we have each other, all these students, as a support system. But keep things in perspective. It's not the end of the world. Salvation does not depend on this. So just keep motivated, and I wish you all good luck.